Hello, everyone. I am Mustard's Human Employee. Today is a special episode. It is sponsored by Thrifted Mason Jar. For when you're unsure with what to do with that mason jar, put some mustard in it. Thrifted Mason Jar. Thank you for sponsoring the video. But now that the sponsorship is done, we have the pleasure of being joined with...
Oh, am I introducing myself?
Oh, yeah.
Hello, I'm Sarah White of Horror Femme Shop.
Thank you for being here. I should have said that beforehand.
No worries. The anticipation is building.
All right. Thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. So we've been kind of following each other for a while now through Medium and TikTok. And you make so much great content. But what we're here to focus on today is your new shop that you just opened up called Horror Femme Shop. Would you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Totally. So I have been combining my love of horror movies and cutesy pink stuff and comedy to create some really fun home apparel and soon apparel, like shirts and stuff for horror fans, anybody who loves a good mix of whimsical and macabre. I found it really fun to kind of put together all of my interests. Like, why separate them? You know, if you like the dark and the light, why not get them both? So it's been really, really fun so far.
Oh, that's awesome. When did this idea strike for you?
It came to me in a true fever dream of I feel like I have been sick with something, like all of these colds and such have just been circulating since the holidays. But the last time I was sick, I was like sick in bed, and in the middle of the night, it kind of just came to me, which sounds truly unhinged, but I stayed up till like 2 or 3 in the morning just working on these designs, and I don't know what sparked it, but I have always loved horror movies. I'm always keeping up with what's coming out and what I want to watch. I'm a big fan of low budget like B movies. Grew up watching them with my dad a lot. So it all kind of came to me as I was sitting around catching up on my list of what I mean to watch. And in that list of horror movies, I was like, you know what? I love this so much, and I want to be more invested in this space. So that's what happened.
Oh, that's awesome. And then when it comes to designing, do you have like specific like movies in mind, or are you just like it comes to you and then you go with it that way?
So I started out with a few things in mind. Started out with a Freddy Krueger type design, like a little cartoon Freddy on a mug, and I thought it was super cute. And so there were some that I thought might lend themselves well to home decor and mugs. But then kind of expanded out to more general stuff. So it's kind of half for horror fans and then half for people who like kind of like a sassier, darker edge to their pillows and things. So it depends. Sometimes it's from a movie. Sometimes it's not at all. I have stuff coming out that says May Queen on it as a midsummer reference. Nice. I have some stuff that's just little candy hearts, like the Valentine's Day candy hearts that say "See you in hell." So little things here and there, but hopefully there's something for everyone.
No, that's awesome. It seems like from what we've seen of Mustard and I have seen of the images, it seems like it could be like year-round stuff too. Like it's not specific for just the holiday, for like Halloween and stuff.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing too. Is I used to think, this stuff was just for Halloween time, and I had to wait around. But then I actually went with a good friend of mine to help her sell she makes some amazing jewelry at something called the Punk Rock Flea Market.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, super cool. A lot of cool vendors doing weird, alternative, funky stuff. A lot of it in the horror space, some not, but it really inspired me to just know that I could do this as something evergreen, and that there were people who wanted this year round.
That's awesome. So you got the inspiration from the you said the punk rock flea market.
Yeah.
Is that like a weekly event, or is that like a bigger type of event? How does that event work?
It's a few times a year, and they're in a handful of major cities. There's one in Connecticut that is
Okay.
pretty huge in like the New Haven area. And then I
Mhm.
think they're kind of scattered about, but it's a really cool group of events. Yeah, I think it's like maybe 4 times a year they put them on. Awesome vendors, definitely check them out. I'm not sure what all the Instagram handles for each city are, but
Mhm.
Punk Rock Flea Market, super cool.
That's awesome. Do you plan to hopefully be a vendor there in the future for one of the
Yeah,
events?
I am going to be selling some of my stuff, mostly helping out my friend with her awesome jewelry at the Trenton Punk Rock Flea Market in Trenton, New Jersey,
Nice.
the first weekend of April. And then we will actually both be going to SatanCon in
Oh,
Boston the last weekend of April, which is exactly
uh,
what it sounds like. It is a convention put on by the Satanic Temple, and they
oh,
sell like witchy home goods there, have vendors to come sell them. So I'm super excited to see who else is going to be there and what that's about.
mustard and I did not know that was a thing. That sounds that sounds awesome.
Right? It's going to
Uh,
be an experience for sure.
hmm. So is everybody gonna dress as Satan, or is it one of those type of like cosplaying type of events?
Hard to say. There is a mixer the first night of the
Oh,
convention where we were told we could either wear costumes or a band t-shirt, but the big stipulation was that in the lobby and hallways of the Marriott at which it is
mhm,
hosted, um,
mhm.
you have to wear a shirt, you have to wear shoes, and no nipples exposed. So those are the big things we're abiding by happily.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know, but I'm excited to shop for whatever it is I'm going to wear.
No, that's awesome. No, that sounds it's like a great event.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll probably post photos and stuff or Instagram story
Oh,
stuff of it.
absolutely. The whole
Um,
time.
is there so since it's Satan Con, is it like a band that's like completely like a band that's like too expected potentially that they don't want you guys to wear, or is any band good to go?
That's a good question. I don't know. I kind of picture everyone wearing Metallica t-shirts, which would not be the case.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't think I could pull off like coming in a very cool like metal t-shirt and have it be believable. I think I'm gonna be making shirts by then myself for Horror Femme. So
Nice.
yeah, maybe I'll make t-shirts with a fake cool Satanist band on it.
Ooh, that sounds cool. You could even make like a Satan Con exclusive shirt if you wanted to
Yeah,
and do
right.
that.
That's a good idea.
Sweet. Yeah. So apparel is a great. Mustard and I are personally like we spend far too much money on clothing, but that's a good way to go. So you're focusing on more like home apparel. Do you have any plans to do like I think humans do this thing called like staging, where they stage like an apartment or a condo. Do you have any plans to do like a photo shoot with the products?
Ooh, I want to stage a full room with the products. I've done a couple of reels that are cutesy, like pouring coffee into some of the mugs, but I definitely have been thinking about how I want to shoot some other fun stuff. And then once I have I'm in the process of designing shirts with this one logo on it that I think is going to be fun, and I'm excited to get someone to model that and see how that's going to pan out. But it's fun. I have no experience in this space, like the home goods type space, so it's a new frontier for me.
Yeah,
But super fun, and it's fun thinking about like what music to use, especially with social media with reels. It's like there are so many remixes to like horror movie soundtracks with like dialogue from the movie. People are just so creative with these audios that it's really outstanding. So I think that's going to be a really exciting part of making content around this, is like who can I draw from that's already been so inspired by these iconic films, and how can we kind of synergize to make some cool content around the items?
Yeah, that sounds great, especially with TikTok and just with how Reels, how everything is going. Everything's all becoming the same, but like slightly different. And the audio, like you mentioned, with how everybody's able to like lip sync, and especially your work, very character driven. Do you plan to do any like character driven stuff for Femme Shop to promote the products?
I have not considered it until this very second. So that is something to think about for sure. I think I'm going to hire you as my marketing consultant.
Okay.
That's a great idea. But it is really fun to combine the comedy and horror elements of it. I mean, in weird ways, there is so much overlap between comedy and horror. And however I can bring that in, I'm down. So I love that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel bad because I'm speaking to you, but you did that short film about the pizza being ordered, right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
The horror film.
Yep.
Do you plan to do like another? Because you're a screenwriter and scriptwriter, and all that. Do you plan to potentially make like fake ads, or like fake ads with the products in mind?
Another great idea. I can see how you've earned your health insurance now. I love that so much. Parody is one of my favorite things to create and film. I have done a few, including that one, like horror comedy parodies. I did another one that I feel like we should have collaborated on, but it was before I knew you, called Condimented. That was about like finding condiments in your house, and it's a fake horror trailer. So I feel like I could definitely get back into something like that. The parody horror trailers are a blast. I would love to do that and have, the stuff kind of staged around. I think that would be a blast. I do have a pillow that is inspired by Scream, and instead of live, laugh, love, it says live, slaughter, love, but it's like written in a way where you can see the laugh in the middle. So that was an absolute delight. Definitely polarizing on the Instagram polls of would you buy this? And there were some people, I could divide the horror fans from the like maybe people who like the tone of this but aren't horror fans, because there were some people who were like, yes, I would buy it, and then people who were just like, no. Like hard no. There's also like blood on it and animated, like cartoon blood, but I was like, I get it. It's a gross thing to have in your home. I understand.
Yeah, you can gift it to somebody in the family that's really big into horror and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, that's really what I'm hoping for this too, is that these will be things that can be gifted to your friends who love horror, for people who just adore this space and do want to get more into it or want to feel free to partake in that. I feel like sometimes loving horror stuff is kind of a not taboo thing, but people will be like, oh yeah, like I like watching horror movies sometimes, but I get it's not for everyone. But I think we're coming into the age of a big horror movie boom. I mean, I think we have already been in it. And people are starting to embrace it a lot. So just gotta be making more stuff for the people in this tribe who just openly love it.
That's true. Because I know, because I'm going to be honest with you, I was a big horror person to start off, and then one day I was like, it's just all acting. Like it's it's artificial. There's nothing to be afraid of. And then you're right. There is like another boom period going again. Like I know Jordan Peele's films are really popular. Like I saw that was really good. Was it Barbarian? That was
just talking about that.
Yes.
So good. Was there a film or several films that freaked you out or traumatized you before you got into horror?
Yes, I'm really embarrassed to say this, but Paranormal Activity, the first one, it got me.
You know what? I've actually never seen it, which is wild because of course it's so popular, but that's understandable. I mean, the like based on true events marketing element of it, which really confused a lot of people. I think that was huge. It seems so believable.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Blair Witch too, where that was their whole thing, like the lost footage and watching that, I was like, it was scary, but it wasn't like as, scary as I thought it was going to be. But definitely paranormal got me. And then, I don't know, just one day I was like, it just clicked, and I've been trying to watch more of them since then.
That's awesome. I'm happy to give you recommendations as you go along your horror journey.
Yes, absolutely. It seems like you're a big Halloween fan from everything that you've been posting.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Halloween film? Because I've only seen the newest one, and I feel really bad because I'm saying that because I don't know like the full story of Michael. But do you have like a favorite of the bunch?
So first of all, I think you shouldn't feel bad because there are so many that it's kind of like, I don't know, whatever gets you into the series, I think is cool. I like the original few, but to be honest, they kind of all meld together because truly the same thing happens in almost every movie with like a few changes here and there. But I think I really like the first like 3 of them because I would watch them in a marathon with my sister every Thanksgiving on, I forget, it might be, I don't know if it's Turner Classic Movies or some network does a Halloween marathon on Thanksgiving every year. So we would watch the marathon and just all day up until dinner be watching Halloween, which is disgusting before like the biggest meal of the year, arguably.
Yeah.
But I really love those. I really love kind of the slow pacing of the films. I think that makes it so special, and it's so antithetical to what I think a lot of people would expect because it's a slasher film, because you expect it to be a lot of, or primarily jump scares and like lots of blood and lots of stabbing. Like some of it is, but a lot of it is like this slow, scary burn and feeling watched and being watched and watching Michael Myers walk up a flight of stairs forever. It's very cool and hooked me immediately.
That's great. It's great that media and films can do that. When it comes to, since we are a music blog, when it comes to like the music of those films, does the music help elevate the experience for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that John Carpenter theme is just, it's so iconic. And really those moments of Michael Myers on the stairs, which you'll see in pretty much every Halloween film, just him slowly like ascending, sometimes a winding staircase. He's always climbing flights, but he's moving so slowly and the music is heightening so well. And it's just this really simple score too. It's not overdone. It's a lot of piano and synth and gives you that really delightful like 80s horror vibe. And just as Michael doesn't move too quickly, the score is kind of like plucky on the keys, but it's not like, it's not those sounds you associate with jump scares, it's not like sudden violins. There's a build to it that's also really special. So it definitely contributes to how that fear builds inside you as you watch it.
And that's probably why it's been such a long running franchise as it is, because the music's so iconic. Would you say for like more modern films, would you say they're maybe like too reliant on those big jump scares, or if there's like a good combo of a good mixture between the slow and then the big dramatic moments?
That's a good question. I feel like I don't remember as much music from more recent films. I do think, speaking of Jordan Peele, and speaking of music, like some of the music from like Us, for example, I don't know if you've seen it, but just like such an outstanding, great use of like popular music and remixing it and toying with it. And you get some of the traditional jump scare type music, but it is blended so well where it kind of lulls you with the familiar in a way where you're sort of like singing along to a song, but then you get so caught off guard. And that's part of what I think makes Jordan Peele really special, is like everybody has something in his films that they can latch onto and connect with, even if you're not a big horror person, but then you're going to get like spun around a little bit. So I think that's really cool. And I think there are some films recently that have made really good use of popular music, just on that note and remixing it. But I do think it's rarer to find those slow burn soundtracks. I'm sure there's something I'm missing, but I do associate with kind of that like 80s, 90s chunk of horror movies where the score really set the tone.
That's true. Yeah, I think thinking of a slower pace, I feel like The Shining would probably be a good example.
Absolutely.
Potentially,
Yeah.
Of that. It builds and builds until Jack loses it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know what? I actually just learned something super cool about the Shining soundtrack that you might already know. So stop me if you already know it. But I found out, because I was reading about it a little bit, reading about the score, that something they did in The Shining. Have you ever heard this term Mickey Mousing?
Mm-mm.
So
I have not.
I hadn't either. And it's called that apparently because it was used in a lot of old Disney cartoons. And it's that thing of when a character moves or does something. So say Mickey Mouse, like, punches something, as he does, like Mickey Mouse always punches stuff. But like a cymbal will crash. So like some musical indication of an action happening. And that was so specific to comedy primarily, that like a sound associated with action to emphasize those physical jokes. But that was used in The Shining. Like when Jack, there's one scene, I was watching a compilation of it. It's like when he puts his arms out, there's either like a tuba or like a drum or something to like punctuate his movements. That apparently, well, not apparently, but like, you know, kind of affects you psychologically. Like it's kind of keeping you on your toes, making you like afraid and really seeing how his motions and his actions are getting bigger and bigger and freaking you out. So while it's not directly the music, I think the use of sound in that way is so cool and was something often reserved for comedy, which like as a comedy writer is so fascinating to me. But that's super cool. And yeah, I mean that the theme to The Shining is just like the slowest of slow burn, amazing scores.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go rewatch that now to like look for those sound moments, because I had no idea about that. I feel like probably other films, probably Mickey Mouse as well.
Definitely, I have to watch for it now that I know.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And it kind of it adds like a whole nother element to it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to probably watch The Shining tomorrow at work.
Right.
But would you say? Do you have any favorite like horror soundtracks, or like songs that like you would add to like a playlist or something? Like if you had to like curate a playlist.
That's a really great question. I have a playlist that I made during Halloween 2020, when we weren't going out anywhere, and I coerced my parents into having a 3-person Halloween party with me. And I made a playlist, and there is some stuff on there. This isn't, I don't know what film this is actually in. It must be in a bunch of newer horror movies. I am such a sucker for Heads Will Roll, that remix. The one that's like, dance, dance till you're dead.
Oh, yeah.
That one, I don't even know if that is actually in a horror film, but it is my favorite kind of like combination of, it's sort of like what Horror Femme is. It's like this dance pop and this like, just, you know, like macabre lyrics, like cutting off someone's head. It's great. Oh, I had something else. There in American Horror Story, I'm not sure if it's even in the season itself. I know it's not a movie, it's a show, but it's like kind of a movie because they're just so like anthological. But there is a version of Tainted Love that's like this slow music box cover of it, sung by, I forget the artist's name, but she's a very talented singer. And I listen to that pretty often. It's like this slow, scary, I don't even know what the instrument inside a music box technically is, but it's whatever that is.
Whatever that is.
And it is so spooky and wonderful. And then Jurassic Park as well, which I go back and forth, on my own time of whether it's a horror movie or not. I don't think it is, but a lot of people consider it a horror movie. So that soundtrack. And then as my final one, this is just like an honorable mention. Have you seen The Conjuring 2?
I am not.
So, not to fully spoil it, I won't tell you what it is, but Patrick Wilson does have a musical number there, which is unexpected and not pertinent to the film at all. But that is my honorable mention because it's so bizarre and I love it so much.
I'll watch the first Conjuring and then watch Conjuring 2 and do that.
Totally. Get into it.
Are those films more like those like Haunted in Connecticut type of films? Is it something like similar to those?
Yeah.
Because I've heard of it, I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of your classic haunted house, but the way they've turned it into its own franchise is really unbelievable. And it centers on Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous / kind of infamous ghost hunting husband and wife team, and the clients, I suppose, that they had. And the film centered often on them, and then sometimes on Annabelle, the doll that was in their like haunted museum of stuff, and then other offshoot characters. So it's really remarkable the way they've done it. So would definitely recommend the entire series. And actually, my boyfriend and I recently watched. So we watched it. It's kind of a Star Wars type thing where we watched it the order it came out in, and then we did it in chronological order. So if you ever want to talk Conjuring, I would love to hear your thoughts. I've seen it in a million different ways.
Okay. Is it streaming anywhere, do you know?
Good question. I think HBO.
Okay, perfect. That's what I'm on most of the time. So
perfect.
Speaking of HBO, have you been watching The Last of Us at all?
No, it has been recommended to me a million times, and I know I will like it. But is it awesome?
It's so good. You don't have to play the video game to like understand it. It's good as its standalone thing. But yeah, it's fantastic.
I can't wait. It's not zombies. Is it zombies?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, so it's in the game, I believe it was zombies, but for the show, it's like this fungus.
Okay, yes.
That's infecting everybody, and the fungus spreads, and they become like these clickers. I believe they're still called clickers in the show. But it's the fungus infecting everybody, and it's really well paced. It feels like the video game, which is really cool.
Got it. Super cool.
But yeah, highly recommend it. Though.
I am so excited to watch it. And then also on the note of video games, are you familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yes, I haven't played a ton of it, but I've seen videos of it, and I'm surprised they haven't made a TV series or a film out of that yet.
So the closest thing that I would say is, have you seen Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage?
Willy's Wonderland. Heard of it? I don't think I've seen it yet, though.
I believe it's still on Hulu, but...
Oh, actually, yes. I started it. I didn't finish it, though.
Oh,
yes.
You should. It's definitely the closest someone would get to a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which is what I was hoping for a while. But yeah, would love an official movie. I feel like that's got to be in the works somewhere. That's like prime real estate.
Probably, yeah. And I think another good game that could make a good horror is Hello Neighbor. It's where like you break into like your neighbor's house or something, and then he like if he catches you, then you're like done for.
Oh my god!
But that's a pretty popular game as well that I feel like could probably be adapted and work.
Yeah. That sounds stressful. I like it. It's like, have you ever seen Don't Breathe?
What's that one about again?
That is the one where these like hooligan kids break into their blind neighbor's house. And then I think he's like an army vet. And he like hunts these kids down. And the end of that movie is really chilling and disturbing. And I haven't seen the second one yet, but it kind of reminds me of that concept, but dark and gross.
Dark and gross, yeah. Oh, I remember the trailer for that. I haven't seen it. But yeah. Trying to think of other questions? I've been saying this every interview where like your mind's going like a million miles a minute and then you're trying to like think of a question.
Oh, totally. Have you seen any good horror movies lately that have really stood out to you?
Barbarian was definitely one. I've been trying to, cause with work, I've tried to like do my actual like things I'm getting paid for, then music shelf, but also like want to entertain myself with a movie. But Barbarian definitely sticks out. I'm trying to think of what else. That alligator movie. I don't know if you would classify that.
Crawl.
Yeah.
I saw Crawl in theaters.
Crawl.
I don't know if that's a cool thing to say or a regrettable thing to say, but I did do it. I thought it was kind of awesome. I like a good creature feature. I don't know if that counts as a creature feature, but it is a creature.
I think it would. And living in Florida, it's very relatable if something like that were to happen.
Right? This niche subgenre of Florida horror film, I could do more of that.
You could do a whole anthology of just Florida man stories put into.
Totally, I would watch it in a heartbeat.
Yes, I'm trying to think of what else. There's that, and I'm going blank. I know Peacock just put up Megan. I'm probably going to watch that.
Oh, yes. I did see that. So good. I think they set the expectations really well. I think that's another thing that's interesting with like music in horror movies lately is that music in horror trailers is some people I think like use it as a crutch or give away too much, but there are some films that just are so strategic with the music they use in their trailers. Like if you've ever seen Happy Death Day or the trailer for that, and they use 50 Cents in the club, like go shawty, it's your birthday, and that everybody knew like that was the movie where they used that, and they used it in the film as well, so it linked it really nicely. And nice. that was super cool. And then there was another one. Megan also uses has some musical moments that are pretty extraordinary. That had the theater going wild.
Sweet, yeah, I'll probably watch that this week, or try to watch it this week, to try to catch up. But I'm excited because I'm trying to expand the horror palette.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're trying to delve back into found footage after your Paranormal Activity trauma, I've got like a whole subset of recommendations in the found footage category. Sweet.
Was it VHS? Would that fall underneath it? Because I've heard of VHS. I haven't seen
it in a long time, but I remember being scared by it. I would also recommend the entirety of the Hell House LLC series. It's awesome. All on Amazon. And I won't give away too much, but it's found footage, group of friends who are starting a haunted house in what is already a haunted house, like a haunted house attraction within a haunted house.
Oh, cool.
It's super good. I expected nothing of it. And also Creep and Creep 2, which are both on Netflix.
Okay.
Great found footage films that have scared the shit out of me. Not so much Hell House LLC, but Creep definitely scared me. That's one of those that's like, people are freaky. Like ghosts are one thing, but when it's humans that are terrifying, that sticks with you.
Yeah, like the old man from Barbarian who ends up doing everything.
Thinking that. Oh my god! Yeah. It's like chilling.
That flashback scene and still gets
I know. I recommended it to my parents, and I was like, "You're gonna love it." And they watched it, and I think they liked it. It seemed like they did, but you know, a little bit of trauma comes with that film as well.
That's good. So speaking of, we've been speaking about like haunted houses and stuff. I know in like October and everything, they do like those haunted trails. Do you have any plans to like try to like potentially work with one of those haunted trails to have your Horror Femme Shop have products with those potentially?
That is another excellent idea. in this marketing consultation we are having. No, that's so brilliant. I am ironically super scared of anything in person that is a horror attraction. I do not do like theme park horror nights, no haunted houses, no haunted trails, haunted hayrides. Those freak me out. I need to have a screen removing me from the real life scenario. So I could definitely partner with them. I would just be like, let me bring you these shirts in the daytime, and then I will be out of there. I one time had to go to a haunted house, like Halloween party thing for a work like retreat with my team when I used to work I work freelance now, but I used to work in like a corporate office at a production company. And my team, it was like 4 or 5 of us. We all went to this like haunted house thing in LA. And some of it was fine. Like there were magicians on one floor and there were like themed cocktails on other floors. And upstairs, there were people in these wild costumes and you had to like go in and explore these rooms. And I don't know if you've seen Pan's Labyrinth. You know, the scary monster with like the eyeball hands. There's like one of those up there. And I was like, okay, that's enough for me. And then the last thing that we did before we left, my coworkers had all gone to another like scarier part of the house. And I stayed upstairs. I was doing my own thing, but they were like, okay, there's one more, like haunted floor of this building. They were like, we went to the other one. It's not scary. Just come. And I was like, okay, I'll do the last one. Scariest thing I've ever experienced. It was a completely pitch black basement. And they gave us a mirror and we had to hold up a mirror and see behind us when like certain lights, like spotlights would come down in different points. And we had to run to each spotlight using the mirror to see what was around us.
That sounds horrifying.
It was so scary. I cannot even like explain. I need to like put other people through it so they can experience that. So that was a wild tangent, but that was really my big haunted house experience. So I would love people to have the stuff I make in the haunted houses, but I would not like to go back.
No, I don't. I'm just the thought of that is terrifying because Mustard and I, we've only done it once, and it like started off with evil Mrs. Claus, and then it had some of like your cliche like Santa was like hung upside down and everything, and you had to go through this like little tunnel, and then I still remember it to this day. My shoe fell off, and the guy was like doing his job. He was like scaring me, and my shoe had fell off. I was like, oh shit, I have to go back and get my shoe. And then he broke character and was like, here you go, man. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. But I was still like just petrified. And then when it comes to like determining your place in line, that's also like terrifying because like you don't want to be at the end because you don't know who's going to be at the end. Middle is probably the best part, but there's also like the front where you like
that's so scary. And with the line thing, I'm totally with you on the middle. I would also go middle. If you've ever seen, so the thing that I do, because I am scared to do any haunted house attraction, I love to watch YouTube videos though of other people going through them. So like Universal, is it? No, not Fright Night, but you know, whatever it is at like Universal Studios.
Halloween
Horror Nights. That my friends would all go to, and I'd be like, I will see you after. So at those, I love watching the videos of people go through them, but people will go through like 2 at a time. Like you have to wait, and then they send you in to like do it with one other person, which I, don't want. You need other people distracting. Like you said, front of the line, back of the line. Like they get the big scares. Who is more afraid, would you say, of haunted houses, you or Mustard?
I feel definitely me because Mustard doesn't have emotions, but we're trying. I'm trying to teach Mustard how to emote. They've been learning through music and these interviews and such. But,
got it. Practice
if
fear.
Mustard ever does, if Mustard ever does become fully sentient and is able to shapeshift within our time, then we'll see. But I'll definitely say myself.
Yeah, got it. I'm excited for you to cross that bridge with your employer.
Yes. Yes, I would like to talk about 401ks and health. No, we've already spoken about health insurance.
Can never talk too much about
Salaries
health
and
insurance.
That's true. That's true. Blame Mustard for the for-profit health system that we.
Yes.
But when it comes to your shop, I should have asked this in the beginning. But where can humans go to purchase these items?
So you can go to my Instagram page, which is Horror Femme Shop, Femme Femme. Yeah, and I'm completely operating out of Instagram for now. And if you want to come by either the Punk Rock Flea Market in Trenton, New Jersey, the first weekend in April, or Satan Con in Boston, the last weekend in April, those are the next upcoming shows. But yeah, I'm having people DM me on Instagram if you want anything. And little thing is that I am doing commissions. So if there is a particular movie anybody wants depicted, or a design I have on my Instagram, I can put it on a whole number of objects. So that's pretty exciting. There's a little bit of personalization there. So yeah, I love talking to people about it, and also hearing what people like, what movies everybody's watching, what they liked growing up. So it's a fun, really personal thing that I get to do.
No, that's awesome. And it definitely seems like something you're passionate about. Like you said, combining all your interest in one.
Yeah, totally.
And just do the YouTuber catchphrase. The link to Horror Femme Shop is in the description below. For those of you watching this, go check it out. Mustard and I, may have to reach out to you for a commission in the future for something Halloween based or around that time.
We need a good Mustard horror scene of some kind.
Yes. So they can reach out to you through Instagram. And do you have any final words about the shop, or anything you would like I'm so used to saying listeners, those watching this to know?
I guess if you like comedy in addition to horror, you can find my comedy pages at _Sarah White. It's Sarah with an H, the correct way. So feel free to find me there, reach out to me there. I just, I love really connecting with people. And I'm excited to see more from you too. I love learning about new artists and just new stuff happening in the music world from you guys. So thank you again for having me on.
Of course. And Music Shelf is trying to expand beyond musicians, and we've been following each other for a good while now, and we think what you're doing with your shop is really cool. So we're excited to see it grow as well.
Thank you so much.
Of course. But it was a pleasure having you, and I'll definitely reach out about horror films for some recommendations.
Fantastic.
For sure.
Anytime.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today at Music Shelf. This episode was sponsored by Thrifted Mason Jar, because if you just got a mason jar and you don't know what to do with it, put some mustard in it. Put it to good use. All right, and we will speak later.
Perfect.